Forbidden Door may have been one of the greatest pay-per-views in AEW history. Capped off with maybe match of a lifetime, Omega versus Ospreay. We got a lot to talk about tonight. So without further ado, let's start the show. Holy crap. What's going on, everybody? Episode 71. Smells Like Wrasslin podcast. Post Dynamite show. Post Forbidden Door. Oh, man. What a... I don't even know how to... I do not even know how to explain that fucking pay-per-view. It was one of the best pay-per-views I've seen AEW do in a long time. It really... It kept on building this growing momentum that AEW has been slowly building. All In being announced and being a huge success. The sellout for Forbidden Door in Canada almost instantly. CM Punk getting healthy. The return of Chris Statlander. Signings of Roderick Strong. There's so much that AEW has been doing lately. Like really trying to... I mean, let's be real. They're trying to bounce back from a very rough 2022. A very rough 2022. Between injuries and suspensions and all that, this company needed a bounce back year and they got it. I feel like this company is like an on year, off year kind of thing. Like the first year was rough. We had that horrible Dark Order segment. Then they bounced back with an amazing pay-per-view like Revolution, where Kenny and Hangman versus the Bucks was probably one of the greatest tag team matches of all time. Continuing on with that momentum, and then it gets stunted by by COVID. They had a great year that year. Then COVID hits. They have the empty stadium era. And then all of a sudden they come back with a vengeance with signings of Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson and CM Punk. They sell out United Center twice. They get 20,000 for Grand Slam with a main attraction of Bryan Danielson versus Kenny Omega, which I was there for. And then they have all the brawl out at All Out, and everything just kind of halts. Earlier that year, they lose Cody. Mox goes into rehab. Punk gets injured. MJF having contract disputes. Very difficult year. But boy, does it feel like AEW's getting that spark again. It feels like every Dynamite is important. The wrestling is more important. It just feels different. There's a different feel to the show. Lots of guys are getting lots of TV time. There's not a lot of people we saw Keith Lee tonight, who we haven't seen in some time. We're seeing guys like Miro come back. Individual guys of the House of Black are having fantastic matches on Collision. The Owen Hart tournament is going to have 3 amazing matches this Saturday for Collision, which is actually being taped on Thursday. So the spoilers of that match will obviously be out a couple of days before. I gotta say, man, AEW's feeling great right now. On the other hand, the WWE, it's kind of starting to look like business as usual. Vince, it looks like, is back in charge and creative. He's backstage. He's rewriting Raw before the show. Matches that were advertised just aren't there anymore. It's going back to shit. There are a couple of, shining notes. There are acts that I like. The Judgment Day. Alpha Academy, Bloodline, Riddle. Like there are things that are going on in WWE that are like good, but like for the most part, like anything that's in between those like 4 or 5 major storylines just falling through the cracks. They still do the same hokey bullshit where it's just DQs and false finishes and singles matches being turned into tag matches being turned into 6-man matches. So it's Vince, it's obviously Vince booking the show as per usual. And you know what? It's not, we got Process in the chat with a question that's coming up. I like Process's questions. He's got that question for the group kind of dealy. There we go. Question for the group from Process. Here we go. All right. Well, while we're waiting for that, we're gonna keep on just chit-chatting. We're like, so there are. Oh, here we go. Will we see the reunion of RK Bro? Process. From what I'm hearing, it's possible we might be seeing Randy Orton back. I mean, he's been injured for a while. The guy's made his money. He really doesn't have any need to rush his recuperating. You know what I mean? Like, I want the guy to be able to walk and hold his kids and do shit, more than I want to see him in the ring. But, it is possible. I would not be surprised because listen, RK Bro was always a tag team where people were just waiting for Randy to turn on Riddle. You know what I mean? And they kind of did it in a way, like they kind of booked it how they booked Sammy with the Bloodline. They just made Riddle this guy who was super endearing and just determined to win over Randy. And sure enough, he wins over Randy and they become a tag team and they win the tag team championships and they defend them successfully and all that shit. But it was always a matter of not if, but when Randy was going to turn on Riddle. So I'm not sure if they're going to come back as a tag team, because if they do, you kind of have to like put them in a trajectory of getting the tag belt. I mean, that's obviously what the fans are going to want. So if I were to book a reunion of RK Bro, it would be Orton coming back, reforming the tag team with Riddle. They go on a run. They go and they challenge Sammy and Kevin for the tag team championship. Sammy and Kevin beat them. And because of that loss, basically, then the turn happens and Orton turns on Riddle. And then you could get, Orton versus Riddle at a major pay-per-view down the line. Let's say if Orton were to come back, I don't know, like, let's say Orton comes back like Money in the Bank. And you do a series of shows on Raw, like them building up to them fighting for the tag titles. And then on an episode of Raw, they actually have the tag title match. You pop a rating, you put the tag titles on the line on Raw. They lose. Orton turns on Riddle. And then you build up that match for SummerSlam. It's possible that they could be doing long-term, a long-term story. And they don't end up actually fighting until Mania. I mean, they're one of the more endearing tag teams in the company. So I think if you're going to break up a tag team like that, you should have the feud pop off at a major pay-per-view. So like Rumble or Mania, something like that. But that's a good question. I do think that it's possible we could see the reunion of RK Bro. Is it certain? I'd say it's certain. Yeah. When it's going to happen, I don't know. They could have Orton come back immediately as a heel, and they don't do RK Bro for a while. They have their feud, and then you build up a reunion, and then it's the reunion of RK Bro, and maybe they get another tag title run like a year or so down the line. But I don't know. Who knows? But I like at this point, I'll probably when it comes to WWE, I'll probably just go back to watching just the PLEs, the like the pay-per-views, and that's pretty much it. But week to week, the storytelling isn't worth it. I'd rather be like, the PLEs are like once a month. I'd rather be disappointed once a month than twice a week with WWE. So I'd rather just watch the PLEs, I think, at this point. To be quite honest, they kind of had me on the hook with SmackDown. Like, I do like paying attention to that on Fridays. You know what I mean? I'm more of like a homebody, so I'm home on Friday nights to see that. So, I mean, but if there was anything even a modicum more interesting than SmackDown going on, then I would drop SmackDown in a heartbeat. So I wouldn't say it's must-watch television, but I'm more interested in checking that out than Raw just because it's a 2-hour show and it tends to be booked better and you see Roman more on it. And Roman's really the guy, so we'll see. And he's in the storyline. Obviously, this Bloodline Civil War storyline is the biggest thing that they have going right now. So, I'll get better stories. I'll get more of the juicy story on SmackDown. What they do for Raw, when they have people hopping back and forth, it's always like Monday nights are the filler. Like, not everything crazy regarding SmackDown guys happens on Raw. They usually reserve that for SmackDown. So, just Raw isn't that worth watching anymore. And NXT is 110% not worth watching anymore, especially if you were a fan of what NXT was. Let's quickly go over Forbidden Door. I mean, obviously, I want to talk about one match in particular, but let's talk about that because I mean, it's worth talking about. I mean, it was one of the best pay-per-views AEW has put on in a while. Definitely better than Forbidden Door 1, and I thought Forbidden Door was fantastic. Forbidden Door 1 was fantastic. Also, note to Tony, start numbering the Forbidden Doors. Next year's Forbidden Door 3. Just number them. That should be the only pay-per-view that's numbered. I mean, really? What's the only pay-per-view that's numbered right now? You know what I mean? Like, they don't even number Slammiversary anymore. I think they used to, they don't even number the Death Before Dishonors and the Supercard of Honors. They used to number those. They don't do that. The only thing that's numbered in WWE is WrestleMania. AEW should number the Forbidden Doors. They're obviously a special pay-per-view, and it's literally a once-a-year pay-per-view. Just number it. You know what I mean? Nothing else needs to be numbered but Forbidden Door. That's my opinion. So the card was pretty... What the fuck? Oh, this was... Oh, wrong one. Oh, this is Forbidden Door, right? Oh, okay. I was losing my shit. All right. So Forbidden Door, they had a 0-hour show. Swerve Strickland, Brian Cage, and the Gates of Agony defeat Rocky Romero, Chuck Taylor, Trent Beretta, and El Desperado. Just a crazy match in the beginning. Honestly, I thought, there was one match that I really thought was like match of 0 hour, and we'll get to that soon. ROH Women's Champion Athena defeats Billie Starkz in an Owen Hart tournament match. I've heard of Billie Starkz, but I'd never really seen Billie Starkz before. I know a lot of people are just like, oh, she's like super young and really good. I didn't see any of that in that match. She looked nervous. She looked slow. She it looked like she was overthinking every move that she did. But I mean, if what it is true, and they were saying like she just graduated from high school and she's on this pay-per-view, I mean, listen, I don't expect an 18-year-old on a pay-per-view in front of a sold-out crowd in Toronto to do anything spectacular with Athena. I don't. So, and it was on the 0 hour, so, no big deal. So I got to buy Honor Club because I really want to start following ROH. From what I hear, Athena's doing quite well down there. I always felt like she never really, whenever she, had, I always felt like the juices wasn't worth the squeeze with Athena. I always felt like her matches leading up to her belt were good, and she was a good person to get behind and root behind as a title contender. But it's kind of like the same thing like what happened with Thunder Rosa, to an extent, and what really happened with Hangman Adam Page in AEW is there's this huge build to them, getting the title and winning. Then they win the title, and then the title reign kind of sputters out. You realize that there's no guys that are exciting for Hangman to face. You know what I mean? Hangman's rise to get the AEW title, it was super exciting. It was very well booked and thought out, and it was very long-term storytelling, and the payoff was worth it. He won the title. He faced his arch nemesis, and he beat Omega. Process in the chat, DIY needs to reunite. Abso-fucking-lutely they do. DIY needs to be the tag team to take the belts off of Zayn and Owens. That's what I think. DIY has been structured in the exact same way as Zayn and Owens in terms of guys who are enemies who become friends, who become enemies, who become friends, who become great tag teams and become great rivals. That's literally Ciampa and Gargano. They've been friends, they've been enemies, they've been tag team champions, they've been world champions. They've beat each other for titles. They've held titles. simultaneously and separately, the same way Zayn and Owens did. Zayn had the NXT title. Owens had the NXT title. The only thing that Zayn's never really held on the main roster is a main title. Owens has had a Universal title run. He had that great run with Jericho that ended in the Festival of Friendship. But like I just feel like that's the tag team. Like you need to build them up, and I don't know if they should just start doing like them being separate and then coming back together, or they just come back as a tag team, because we haven't seen Gargano in a while. We just saw Ciampa. Ciampa fought The Miz and beat him. I'm hoping that that's not really all that they use Ciampa for. I'm kind of hoping that him beating The Miz is just the end of him and The Miz. I feel like after a certain point, you kind of have to have Zayn and Owens start saying like, yo, we beat everybody, like who else is there? And then that's when you introduce a team like Ciampa and Gargano as an actual threat. So like have Zayn and Owens beat a bunch of guys, have them have successful title defenses, probably past SummerSlam. They only just won the titles at Mania, so like I want them to have at least like a 6 to 10 month reign. But in the meantime, start planting the seeds now for DIY. Start getting Gargano on television. Start getting Ciampa and Gargano together, and start having them have good tag team matches. Have them get into a decent mid card feud with another tag team, and beat them. An established tag team. You know what I mean? I don't know who, but an established tag team, and then have them go push for Sammy and Kevin. You know what I mean? But they should go on a rampage. They should honestly go on a rampage. DIY needs to reunite, and DIY needs to become the next undisputed tag team champions in the WWE. Going on with the 0 Hour, this one was my favorite match. El Phantasmo defeats Stu Grayson. Great match. Stu Grayson is awesome. I've never really had any any standout matches from El Phantasmo. He never really popped to me, you know what I mean? He was a guy that I always saw in the undercard, in New Japan, or he was in the light heavyweight division. He was part of Bullet Club. He's been all over the place. But when I saw that match with him and Stu Grayson, I was like, I got to take more notice of this guy. Like if ever I see that there's an El Phantasmo match, I'm 100% down. Stu Grayson is great. I really hope that well, it looks like he's found a home in Ring of Honor with the heck are they called? The Righteous. He has a stable. I'm good with that. You know what I mean? Like let him be showcased. He's a great wrestler. It looks like Ring of Honor is a good fit for him. Like I said, I want to start watching Honor Club because they have a lot of great guys in there, and I am starting to think that they are doing another build between Claudio and Kingston for the ROH belt, but this time I think it's going to be Kingston's time, and he's going to win it. And I want to be on the up and up with ROH when that happens, because I want to follow that storyline very closely, because Eddie Kingston is the man. He deserves a title run. I know he's not probably going to get one in AEW. I think he's too big of a character to have an international run or a TNT title run. But he's not big enough of a character to win the AEW title, even though I think him win the AEW title, I would mark out. I think ROH is perfect. And I think he could have a great reign. I think he could have him headlining that pay-per-view and actually winning it would be great. He could defend it against guys from Japan. He could defend it against anybody. The guy could talk. The guy could wrestle. Eddie Kingston's a total package. Use him. Eddie Kingston for next ROH champion. Shigo Takagi, Hiromu Takahashi, and Bushi defeat Kyle Fletcher, Jeff Cobb, and TJP of United Empire. It was pretty cool. I was glad to see Hiromu on the pay-per-view. I completely forgot that he was in last year's Forbidden Door. So again, Hiromu on the pay-per-view. I'm a big fan. Shingo Takagi, obviously also great. A big fan. When he does Made in Japan, I cringe every single time. But Takagi's a beast. And it was nice to see TJP. I feel like I haven't seen him since 205 Live. Because I don't really watch New Japan Strong, and I think he was on like Impact for a while. I don't really watch Impact. Jeff Cobb's awesome, and United Empire as a whole is great. Just being rounded out with Ospreay, it's a great faction. The pay-per-view starts off with MJF defeating Hiroshi Tanahashi to retain the AEW World Title. MJF, fantastic. Tanahashi. Jeez, man. I'm really I don't know how he's gonna get through G1, but I think after G1 he needs to either take a hiatus and heal up. You know, I don't necessarily want to see Tanahashi retire. I still think he has gas in the tank, but I just think his body just needs to heal. You know what I mean? So especially since he's older, he's just gonna take more time to heal. It shows in the ring. He moves pretty slowly, and he just doesn't seem to have that flexibility. And I'm a big Tanahashi fan. I'd like to see him, you know, like I said, I think he still has gas in the tank. I just think his body needs to heal. So I'm hoping that after G1, if he even fucking survives G1, because G1 is a crucible. I hope he takes some time off. Maybe comes back at Wrestle Kingdom or maybe Dominion next year, something like that. Great match. MJF hits him with the Dynamite Diamond Ring for the win. Tanahashi had the visible pin at a certain point, so, you know, obviously they put over Tanahashi in a way and still protected MJF, so, you know, good opening match. CM Punk defeats Satoshi Kojima in the first match in the Owen Hart tournament. Obviously Punk went, he kind of worked as a heel. He knew the crowd he was at. He played it up. Canada is not like Punk. Canada is a pro-elite crowd, so Punk was pretty much going to get it any single time he came out there, and that's exactly what happened. So, listen, in terms of, like, the character, like CM Punk or whatnot, the guy's always going to get a reaction. He's going to get a reaction. He's going to get eyes on the product, all, you know, like, all that shit. You know, it's, you know, when people say, oh, man, he's getting booed, you know, it's like, listen, he's getting a reaction. If no one cared about CM Punk, then they would just not say anything. You know what I mean? But he's still relevant enough so that people still fucking care to react. So, in terms of AEW as a business, yeah. On a personal note, from me, guy Phil Brooks, I don't like him. I don't, what he's shown me outside of the ring, I don't like him. So, I don't give a fuck about what, anything that Phil Brooks has to say or do. I really only care about the character CM Punk. And, so far, you know, he's teaming up with FTR. He beats Kojima. He's moving on to the tournament. More than likely facing Samoa Joe. I expect him to win against his match with Roderick Strong on Collision this week. Even though I think it's going to be a banger match and I'm a huge Roderick Strong fan, it's obvious that the money match is CM Punk versus Samoa Joe. It'll probably headline a Collision. I'm not surprised that they're trying to stack the first several weeks of Collision to build an audience. Listen, I don't expect big ratings from Collision at all, you know? I think that Punk coming back, Collision, what he was going to say, that's the only pure reason that it sparked a rating. Then you go the following week, he's on the same show, he's having a match, it didn't pop a rating, it did 300,000 less. They averaged around like 585, something like that. Listen, I don't care. You know what I mean? Collision being on TV is a good thing. I think all the executives expected that to not be like at 1 million, so I wasn't expecting it at 1 million. Like I said, I gave you guys an estimate. I kind of thought it was going to be around like 839. It ended up being like 819, something like that. Process in the chat, Punk is going to win the Owen Hart tournament. Yeah, I think so. I think it's most likely, I guess it's going to be Punk and Starks at the end, which is great because Ricky deserves the moment. Actually, to be quite honest, they should really have Starks win it. You know what I mean? I mean, Punk winning it is kind of just like old hat. Yes, he loves the Hearts. He likes Brett. He likes Owen, all that shit. But, like, I really feel like it should be a tournament that, like, showcases guys that should be showcased. Punk doesn't need to win this tournament. You know what I mean? The tournament will continue to go on with or without Punk. You know, I mean, they had Adam Cole win last year. Cool. You know, they weren't really doing with Adam Cole. They really weren't doing anything with Adam Cole at the time. So I guess it was a good use for his character. But there's other things they could do with Punk with then having him win the Owen Hart tournament. I mean, like, once he wins it, then what? Then you have that moment. He walks around with the belt for a little bit, and then he goes on to do something else. I mean, even Adam Cole wasn't walking around with that belt for a while. He showcased it for a little bit, but that was it. Yeah, Royals right in the chat. Give Ricky the rub. Give Ricky the rub. I think Ricky should win the tournament. I don't disagree with process though. I do think that Punk is an obvious candidate to win the belt to win the tournament because he's CM Punk. It's a moment people want to see Punk win. It puts him over. It'll probably set him up for his next feud. Remember, guys, he still has that belt. So you kind of have two world titles swirling around, but you only see one actual world title on television, and that's MJF's. There's only one world title being defended, and that's MJF. But now MJF is going to be wrestling his first match on Collision, so now he's going to be on the same show as Punk. So what's going to happen when two AEW titles are on the same show? Two guys claiming they're the best, two guys claiming that they're AEW champion. The only thing I could think of is I would hold on to that match and save it for maybe the UK. I mean, All In still needs a card. All In still needs a card, and All Out still needs a card. I do think that it probably works better being held at All Out because it's in Chicago. I do think that the storyline from the beginning, and I've told you this, guys, for several months now, that I think the storyline from the beginning was going to be MJF beating Punk in Chicago. That was going to be it. That's the most heel thing that MJF could do. It would get rid of the whole who's the champion. Probably MJF is going to go around and carry around two belts for a while. That's 100% going to happen. So I think is there a chance of Punk versus MJF at Wembley? We got Jordan in the chat asking. I say yes, big chance. That's a big show. You've sold 60,000 tickets. Now you need to make the juice worth the squeeze. You got to make it worth the fact that you sold out 60,000 tickets. You know what I mean? Punk versus MJF at Wembley. Strong possibility. I would say there's a 80 to 85% chance it's going to happen at Wembley and a 55% chance that it would happen. These are two separate whatevers. Yeah, I guess I can't combine them. This is some Steiner math. But like a 55% chance that it happens in Chicago. But it's too big of a match not to do. It does sound like also they dropped the first hint of it today. Ospreay said if you want to, if you challenging Omega, if you want to run it again, I know a place. I mean, the obvious place for that to happen is at Wembley. Ospreay comes in like a god. Omega comes in as a mega heel. Omega loses again. Ospreay goes over, wins in front of his countrymen. Yes, definitely. I did think the other match that they should be booking at Wembley would have been Danielson versus Zack Sabre Jr., but Danielson's got that broken forearm. He's going to be out 6 to 8 weeks. He might be back in time for All In. If there was ever someone for him to wrestle, if he's coming back with a broken arm, it should be Zack Sabre Jr. He's not a hard striking guy. He's a submission guy. Daniel's a technical wrestler. I think it works out big time. And Zack Sabre Jr. is an Englishman, so it works out at Wembley. So far, Jordan asked in the chat, have they announced if Wembley will be available anywhere to watch? They haven't said anything yet. We don't know what it's going to be on. We don't know if it's going to be on pay-per-view. We don't know what it's going to be. I'm assuming it's going to be on pay-per-view. I'm assuming it's going to be on BR Live. Yeah, that's what I'm assuming. We got Royal in the chat. They've been very strategic with the visuals for both All In and All Out. Can you explain that, Royal? I mean, I know obviously besides the differences in the name and the fact that there's a lot of Union Jack on the All In flyers, but like what other like differences? Like what, just by like lack of wrestlers? It's possible. Let's see. Orange Cassidy defeats ROH Pure Champion Katsuyori Shibata, New Japan Television Champion Zack Sabre Jr. and Daniel Garcia to retain the AEW International title. Let's see. And if they're a week apart, I expect them to split. Yeah, they'd have to. I mean, listen, AEW's got the roster where you could put together like 6 dream cards in a row and not run out of anything. Honestly, they have so many people, so much great talent, so many dream matches that are owed. I mean, I could ask all you guys in the chat that there's probably a dream match that it could be done in AEW with the roster they have now, and they haven't done it. I think each and everyone in the chat name one dream match that AEW can realistically do that they haven't done yet. And I guarantee you in this chat of 3 people, if we all thought of one match, for those 4 matches would be a great card for All In, All Out. That's the challenge I give to the chat right now. One dream match based on the roster that AEW has. We could include ROH and we could include New Japan because they have free and open access to all of those rosters. Yeah. See, Jordan has it right off the bat. Danielson versus Omega 2. We're owed for that. My opinion, dude, it's going to happen at this Grand Slam. They're going to run it back again 2 years later after they did it. And they're going to do 60 minutes, I think. They'll do 60 minutes. Grand Slam, Omega versus Danielson. They'll probably do like an Iron Man match. I can see that happening. And since All Out is going to happen, since Grand Slam is September 20th, plenty of time for Danielson to heal. Plenty of time. If Omega could stay healthy, that could 100% happen. But right off the bat, it didn't take anyone long. Based on the roster that AEW has, boom, Danielson, Omega. You have that Punk versus Okada. That could totally happen. You put those two matches and have them headline All Out, All In, Grand Slam. It's already a card worth watching. Omega, Ibushi, Moxley. Yeah, come on. It keeps on going. That would be actually a pretty cool tag match, Royal. Not going to lie. Omega, Ibushi, the Golden Lovers versus Mox and Takeshita. That would be great. See, look right there. And we're not even, oh my God. Yeah. It's too easy. It can happen. We just don't know what it's going to be yet. But it could totally happen. The 4-way match for the international title I thought was fantastic. I love seeing Shibata back. Zack Sabre Jr. is a fucking legend. Daniel Garcia has totally won me over. The dance, he's great in the ring. The Cody lisp, I love it. I'm a Daniel Garcia guy, fantastic. The whole running shtick with Shibata and Zack Sabre Jr. just having daggers for one another and they wanted to kill one another. And then you got Orange Cassidy trying desperately, to be taken seriously as a champion and having all these great matches. And then Daniel Garcia just desperately trying to get noticed within that entire match. Fantastic match. A match worth watching. Definitely check that out. That was one of my favorite matches of the night. Sonata defeats Jungle Boy Jack Perry to retain the IWGP Heavyweight title. It was a solid match. Jungle Boy is not a bad wrestler, but I mean, we're gonna talk this. We haven't even talked about Dynamite yet. We're gonna talk about that tonight. But like, he just has no charisma, man. He has no charisma. I don't believe anything he says. I just think he just says things because they're supposed to sound a certain way. He doesn't speak with conviction. That's what I want from Jungle Boy. He's solid in the ring. He's not a bad wrestler, guys. He's honestly not. It's just the character that needs help. Know what he needs to do? He needs to cut his hair. He needs to get a turtleneck and needs to become Mini Christian. That's what he needs to do. He needs to become Mini Christian, and then they need to get fucking booed out of the building everywhere. This guy needs like Dominic Mysterio kind of heat. You know what I mean? Like, that's what I'm talking about. That's what Jungle Boy needs. He just needs to be a guy that they hate him so fucking much that every single time he grabs the mic to boo, like, it should be that him and Christian are in the ring, they're booing Christian, and then they give the mic to Jungle Boy and they boo fucking louder. You know what I mean? That's what Jungle Boy needs. Enough of Jungle Boy. Get him new music, shave his head. I'm not talking about bald, but like, give him like a preppy ass fucking short ass haircut. And no more leopard skin print or any of this bullshit. And then eventually, and you know what I also think, this is kind of outlandish, but Christian should just have Luchasaurus lay down for Jungle Boy, and Jungle Boy just takes the TNT title, and that's pretty much it. That'd be fucking wild. Then people would really fucking hate Jungle Boy, you know what I mean? But after that, he should fucking defend the title like every single chance and beat the shit out of everybody. But I digress. I'm saying some crazy shit. So the big pull of the Sonata match was obviously the end. Jungle Boy turns on Hook. He goes heel. Obviously they play into that a little bit more tonight, on Dynamite. Hangman Adam Page, the Young Bucks, Eddie Kingston, and Tomohiro Ishii defeat Jon Moxley, Claudio Castagnoli, Wheeler Yuta, Konosuke Takeshita, and Shota Umino. This match was incredible. I really thought the whole thing with Kingston getting in the way of the super kicks was the dumb. I fucking hate that shit. I mean, especially from a guy like Kingston. You're a freaking killer. You know what I mean? You're a freaking fighter. You know, you should be out to win. Like, your whole goal should have been, I want Claudio's team to lose no matter what. You know what I mean? Mox even said, you're drawing the line. Oh, we got another question from the Goof from Process. We'll see what that is. You're drawing the line. Once Moxley said the line is drawn, he doesn't seem like a guy who's like kidding around. You know what I mean? Does Jungle Boy defeat Hook for the FTW title? Yeah, I think so. I think that's another super fucking heel thing for him to do. Yes. That makes more sense than him him beating Luchasaurus for the TNT title again. But yeah, I think so. What do you mean absolves it? You think what he destroys it, or he makes it a part of the AEW like whatevers? What do you mean absolves it? That I'm curious about. What was it? Yeah, so like, you know, Kingston jumping in the way of the super kicks I thought was stupid. That was the only stupid thing I thought was happening in the match. They keep on making a point, and they made a point about this on Dynamite again, multiple times. I think, retires it? That would be fantastic. Oh, he throws it in the trash? Oh, my God. And then Taz is just fucking like, he's holding his boy in his title. He's like, they massacred my boy. Oh, my God. Imagine that's Hook's first loss. That'd be crazy. But it could happen. It could totally happen. So, yeah, I do think this is all eventually building up to Kingston challenging Claudio for the ROH heavyweight title again, and winning it this time. It looks like they're going to do blood and guts, as was shown on Dynamite tonight. So we'll see how this all goes. Let's see. Toni Storm defeats Willow Nightingale to retain the AEW Women's title. We all knew that was going to happen. No way Willow was winning. Willow still hasn't won me over as a wrestler. I'm loving Toni Storm right now. This match happened. The match of the night, and quite possibly match of the motherfucking year. Will Ospreay versus Kenny Omega Part 2. Ospreay coming away with the victory to win and defeat Kenny to win the IWGP US title. As you guys know, I was going into this. Oh, Royal agrees with me. Yeah, Kingston should 100% win the ROH title. That needs to happen this fucking year. I had this book that Kenny was going to win in Canada, and then it was going to be like a title versus career match for Ospreay or some shit like that, or a third match for the title at Wembley where he wins in front of his countrymen. It looks like they're not going that route because Ospreay came away with the victory. This match was insane. This match had everything. Both guys took color. Omega gets hit with a Tiger Driver 91. They dropped him right on his fucking neck. It was the craziest, most disgusting thing I've ever saw. Omega kicks out of the One-Winged Angel at 1. Kicks out of a screwdriver, hidden blade, and a Stormbreaker. This match was nuts. This match was one of the best matches I've ever seen in my history as of a wrestling fan. I will probably not watch this match too often because I don't think I could sit through Omega getting hit by that Tiger Driver again. I cringed when it happened. When I watched the match a second time, I cringed again. I don't know if I could put myself through it a third time. That was one of the most incredible matches I've ever seen. If there is someone who you want to introduce pro wrestling to, you have them watch that fucking match. Actually, I'll be more specific. If you have someone and you want to introduce them to AEW and be like, yo, check out like these matches are like actual, like, you know, athletic contests or whatever, like have them put on that match because that was freaking great. And yes, I know AEW doesn't always put on athletic matches. John Moxley's in the company. They're going to blow shit up and cut people open. But that match was one of the best matches I've ever fucking seen in my entire fucking life. Still to this day, obviously, like one of my favorite matches ever was Okada versus Omega when Omega won the title. Another one is when Naito finally beat Okada at Wrestle Kingdom and won the title. Probably for me, all timer, Johnny Gargano versus Adam Cole, best 2 out of 3 Falls match at TakeOver New York. Probably because I was there, and it was the greatest match I've ever seen in my entire fucking life. And I was live for that shit. I fucking cried. It was fantastic. Johnny Gargano is the greatest wrestler alive. This is an incredible match. There's not enough I could say about it. Just fucking watch it. Nothing I could say could give this match justice. Just fucking watch the match. It was fucking incredible. Sting, Darby Allin, Tetsuya Naito defeat Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara, Minoru Suzuki. I know a lot of people online who kept on saying like, oh my God, Sting was hurt, Sting's messed up. Sting's fucking fine. Sting's the man. Sting could miss a cue and still be a legend and fucking phenomenal. Sting jumped off of a ladder outside onto 2 tables onto Sammy Guevara. Sting's like almost like 60. All right, he's a fucking man. He's eternal. He's definitely on. I mean, right now with the way they're using him, he's definitely on his last ride. I say his career lasts another like 12 to 16 months, and he hangs up the boots. But it was. I mean, I know this is all premature, but Sting is one of my favorite wrestlers ever. He was the whole reason I got into that I decided that I was so into WCW. During the Monday Night Wars. I tuned into Nitro every night just because I wanted to see that guy drop from the Raptors and beat the shit out of the NWO and eventually challenge Sting. Eventually challenge Hogan, to which he did, Starrcade 97, which was one of the bigger disappointments of my life because they did this stupid finish where they had, like, Hogan win, and then Bret Hart comes out saying it's a fast count, which it wasn't, and then they just restart the match, and then Sting beats him for the win. I'm like, that was the most overbooked piece of shit ever. I want to cut Hogan's hair off and fucking throat chop him for that one, because I'm pretty sure he had a hand in that booking. Otherwise, Sting is a fucking man. He's a god. He got a raw deal in WWE because they're a bunch of fucking cocksuckers over there and assholes. So, I love Sting. It was a great match. He did almost die a bunch of times, though. I'm not gonna lie. Sting definitely did almost die a bunch of times during that match. But it's still a great match. You know what I mean? Seeing Sting and Jericho in the ring was pretty cool. I mean, we got to see that again tonight on Dynamite. So, but yeah, I'm going to be sad when Sting's gone. I really am. Sting is great. And hopefully he does stay in the company and lends his like wisdom and a much needed maturity to that locker room. I do think I would like to see him like in a bigger role in AEW going forward when he's not in the ring. Main event of the evening. Bryan Danielson versus Kazuchika Okada. Danielson submits Okada with a broken freaking arm. He broke his arm with 10 minutes left in the match against arguably one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. Danielson is a god. Anyone who's a Bryan Danielson fan was justified and vindicated that night. If there was ever any doubt that Bryan Danielson is the best in the world, not anymore, man. Not anymore. That dude beat Kazuchika Okada with one arm. He broke that forearm clean. I saw the x-rays. He broke that forearm clean. I saw when it happened. It was an elbow drop from Okada. It broke his fucking arm right then and there. He had him he fucking submitted him in a label lock with one arm. He used his legs to do it. Bryan Danielson is like one of the greatest wrestlers ever, if not the greatest wrestler of all time. I mean, he's up there with Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Bryan Danielson, up there with the greats, 100%, 100 fucking percent. Oh my god, and oh yes. Now for Danielson to prove it, he needs to fight the American Okada, Johnny Gargano. That's what needs to happen. I cannot wait. I'm praying to God, please, Lord God, please let Gargano's contract be short or let Vince get into that firing mood and push him straight into the arms of Papa Tony Khan. And then we have Johnny Gargano in AEW, and he just puts on fucking heaters every fucking night. And they eventually have like Danielson versus Gargano in a fucking Owen Hart Cup tournament match for no title, but they go for 30 minutes and just make men cry. That's what I want. Then after that, then Royal's right. Then after that, the dude goes to the post-media scrum with a broken arm and just charms the crowd. talks like a complete and total professional. Want to know who wasn't at that post-media scrum? None of the Elite and no Punk. They got enough camera time. No more camera time for them. They're in timeout. Forbidden Door, like I said, arguably one of the best pay-per-views that AEW has ever done. Definitely an all-timer for me personally, ranking up there with some of the best AEW pay-per-views and best takeover pay-per-views and New Japan pay-per-views, and it was one of the best. Loved it. As a fan of professional wrestling, I'm even wearing the Super Card of Honor shirt to recognize it. Every single promotion that was represented on that show I'm wearing right now. We got Ring of Honor was on that show. We got New Japan on that show. And we had AEW on that show. Fantastic match. Well done. Jericho threw water at a fucking, well, it was someone from the Observer, so that's okay. And he got color too, that bitch. Unbelievable. Unbelievable. Let's get to Dynamite. Extra long show tonight, people, because we got a lot to talk about. Extra long show. Dynamite review. The card was as follows. Chris Jericho, Sammy Guevara versus Sting and Darby Allin in a tornado tag match for the main event. Dr. Britt Baker of DMD versus Ruby Soho was canceled. Britt Baker getting sick. Adam Cole was scheduled to fight at Forbidden Door against Filthy Tom Lawler, got sick. Looks like he gave Britt Baker the same thing. Listen, they went to a Comic-Con in Seattle. So, you know, they got con flu. You can't go to those things and then go to a pay-per-view, man. There's mad germs over there. There's all these nerds breathing on you. Fuck that. No way. Comic-Con flu is real, people. Hangman Page and the Young Bucks in action. We're going to hear from MJF. We're going to hear from Adam Cole. We're going to hear from Jack Perry. Trios match. Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker faced a very odd and very entertaining trios team of the international champion Orange Cassidy, Limitless Keith Lee, and El Hijo de Vikingo. And to start off the night, Tomohiro Ishii versus Jon Moxley. Tonight I thought was a fantastic Dynamite. A lot of great matches. I felt like they continued the momentum coming out of Forbidden Door and Collision. Jon Moxley and Tomohiro Ishii put on a banger in the beginning of the show. I mean, I always hate that matches like this get interrupted with commercial breaks, but it is what it is. Hard-hitting match. Moxley with the win. They headbutted the shit out of each other to the point where it split Moxley's head open and he needed stitches, to which we saw those stitches later on tonight. There was a point in the match where it looked like Ishii was going to get jumped by other members of the Blackpool Combat Club because Moxley was escorted to the ring by both Yuta and Claudio. Kingston shows up. His music hits in the middle of the match. He shows up to back up Ishii, and all it was just Claudio and Kingston staring daggers at one another. Man, these guys want to beat the fucking shit out of each other. It was fantastic. Great match. Awesome start to Dynamite. Renee Paquette is backstage, was talking about Adam Cole and MJF being tag team partners in the Blind Eliminator tournament. She's outside in the loading docks as Adam Cole arrives. As he's about to start his interview with Renee, all of a sudden another car comes up speeding in, and it's MJF. He congratulates Cole on getting sick to get out of his Forbidden Door match because MJF has been continuously saying on the record he didn't want to show up at Forbidden Door because he thinks New Japan sucks. He said even though no one was on the level of the Devil, that Adam Cole was close to that. He suggested they bond over the weekend. Cole agrees very reluctantly. MJF's driver tosses him a shirt. It says "Better Than You, Baby." It looks like that's going to be another shirt on AW shop. So I guess that's happening. So I guess they will have tag matches, and they are going to have those shirts. And who knows? They might go far. They might not. I'm not really sure what's going to be going on with that storyline. But I'm not really a fan of "Can they coexist" storylines. You know, I get that shit on Raw and SmackDown a lot. Renee Paquette is backstage. She's yelling at Jon Moxley, who's with Claudio and Yuta. Eddie Kingston comes in. They're yelling at each other because Eddie's upset that Mox is palling around with Claudio because Eddie hates Claudio. They even mentioned the Chikara feud on camera, which I thought was pretty cool. Renee gets in Eddie's face and says, "Fix this." So that was pretty cool. They play a video package about Kenny Omega and Will Ospreay at Forbidden Door. then another question from the group for Process. How far will MJF and Adam Cole go together as a tag team? Well, it is a tournament. It's obvious that they're going to set these guys up for one more match. I would not be surprised if they went all the way and they lost clean when they actually tried, and then they freaking hate each other, and then the feud begins all over again. Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they tried to build, like, they actually built them getting along, because they're both kind of dirtbags and they like to cheat to win, and they're great wrestlers and they're great talkers. I would not be surprised if they actually started to bond throughout, and they actually tried to win in the finals, and they actually did lose. Like, despite all their cheating efforts, they actually do lose. And then MJF basically betrayed, low blows Adam Cole. MJF becomes a heel because he broke up a tag team that everyone loves. Adam Cole immediately becomes babyface because they want, he was betrayed, and, now the crowd takes the place as being betrayed. And they have a match at All Out, All In, or Grand Slam. But I don't think you put a tag team like that together and just have them eliminated in the first round. I think you have them go as far as possible, but I do not think that they should win the tournament. I think they should end up losing the tournament to another tag team. It looks like Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy are going to be a tag team, so I would not mind if in the finals of that blind tournament, it's MJF and Adam Cole versus Orange Cassidy and Darby Allin. I think that would be fantastic. The writing's on the wall right there. International champion Orange Cassidy, AAA mega champion, mega campione, El Hijo de Vikingo and Keith Lee to defeat Daniel Garcia, Matt Menard, and Angelo Parker. Love Daniel Garcia, love Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, love Orange Cassidy, love El Hijo de Vikingo. I love seeing Keith Lee on television. Keith Lee needs to be on television a lot more often. He's fucking awesome. He's obviously been underutilized. They don't have enough television time. He's a guy that has enough name notoriety that you could kind of put him on the side and let other people who need more notoriety on TV, and then bring him back whenever you want, and you can still make him relevant. So, loving this. Keith Lee back on TV, all for it. This is a result of Collision, and Collision giving more TV time to people. Even though he showed up on Dynamite, Collision is the pressure release valve. So I'm glad we're seeing more Keith Lee. Very happy about that. Fantastic match. High octane, lots of spots. It's an Hijo de Vikingo match and Keith Lee. So you got to see the high flying. You got to see the power moves. You got to see the comedy with Orange Cassidy. Daniel Garcia is awesome. And Matt Menard and Angelo Parker, I really would love to see them get some serious tag team title time. Tag team matches. In serious tag team matches. And actually see them get a build towards a title match. I don't expect to see them win, but that'd be pretty cool. Keith Lee being contender for the ROH title I would not be opposed to that. But I would rather see him beat Samoa Joe for the TV title, because I think that that Samoa Joe versus Keith Lee would be a fucking banger. And they're two, and you know me, man. I love big meaty men, bumping meat. So I need to have that match. Definitely. I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, because I want Kingston to have a good run, and I don't want Keith Lee to be waiting in the wings any longer while he's waiting for Kingston to have a good run to get the shot. So I would like to see Keith Lee as the ROH television champion, and then he defends that fucking every week on ROH, and let him be a mainstay on that, and let him have some shine or whatever. You know what I mean? You could showcase him at all the ROH pay-per-views. You could showcase him at the AEW pay-per-views if they want, because they always have those titles on there every once in a while. So, yeah, I mean, if there is not going to be a good enough spot for him, hey, and listen, you could have him beat Luchasaurus for the TNT title. I would not mind seeing Keith Lee on TNT on national television instead of on Ring of Honor with the belt. I would not be surprised at all, They showed a video package of Okada and Danielson. They had the Young Bucks and Hangman Page. Woo! Sorry, guys. Early day, long day. Young Bucks and Adam Page were backstage talking about the open challenge. Dark Order comes in. They say they accept the challenge. Page is trying to avoid having to fight them, to saying, hey, why don't you just join us and we'll just do a 12-man. Reynolds says, but they accept a 6-man. Uno says Page bailed on them despite being there for him in his darkest moments and opted to side with the Elite. And basically, Page tried to explain himself, but the Dark Order didn't want to hear anything. So that's pretty much, that was setting up the trios match for later that night. Renee's backstage with Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, asking about Jericho becoming the Painmaker tonight. He says it's bigger than Forbidden Door. He said Sting and Jericho should be on TBS, and it should be commentated by Tony Schiavone, obviously because they're all, WCW. They're both WCW guys. He says Sting gets the nightmare of having more time in the ring with Chris Jericho, the nightmare of the Painmaker. Hangman Adam Page and the Young Bucks defeat Evil Uno, John Silver, and Alex Reynolds in their trios match. This was a great fucking match. I'm super excited. Page was like, again, I don't like this shit. I don't like when guys agree to wrestling matches and then they try and renege on the wrestling when guys want to fight in the ring. You guys are wrestlers. They agreed to the match. You're on television. Winning makes money. Winning gets titles. Stop being fucking idiots about it. So Hangman being like, I don't want to fight them. I don't want to fight them. Like, shut the fuck up. So I'm actually glad that the Bucks actually convinced Hangman to start fighting them, and they won the match. And then they got jumped at the end by the Blackpool Combat Club. They got busted open. Whatchamacallit? Moxley had a screwdriver, got Page, busted him open. Yuta hits a brainbuster onto a chair. Matt and everyone's getting killed. Kingston comes in, he gets killed. Moxley goes, we keep on doing this over and over again. This is it. This is where it ends. Blood and guts. So yeah, it's going to end at Blood and Guts. That's going to be later in middle of July in Boston at the TD Garden. July 19th. So there we go. Elite, Claudio against the Blackpool Combat Club and Blood and Guts. We'll see what happens. They do video packages on the next 3 Owen Hart tournament matches that are going to happen on Collision. Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe, banger. Dustin Rhodes versus Powerhouse Hobbs, banger. Juice Robinson versus Ricky Starks, banger. It's going to be a great episode of Collision. They're doing great booking. I'm loving the show. Roderick Strong comes up to Adam Cole backstage, saying basically he can't trust MJF. MJF said, so Roderick Strong approaches Adam Cole, says he can't trust MJF. Adam Cole goes, yeah, I know, I don't trust him. I'm just going to play along. And then Roger's like, but dude, he's probably going to watch the show and hear you say this. He's like, I don't think so. So MJF comes along and he's like, hey, bud, we're going to have to wrestle all these tag matches. You want me to stay here at a pro wrestling show? Let's get the hell out of here. Let's go. Pretty much saying that it's obvious that MJF doesn't watch Dynamite. He doesn't even watch pro wrestling. He fucking hates the show. That's why Adam Cole could actually get away with this shit and talk about it without him knowing. So hysterical stuff. I thought that was pretty clever because someone on the internet tomorrow was going to be like, well, why is Adam saying he's outsmarting MJF and it's on television? Wow. Well, they just explained it, bitch. So there you go. Jungle Boy Jack Perry comes out. He's wearing sunglasses. They're playing his face music. He says, shut it off. He says the fans ruined the song for him and they're never going to hear the song again. He says he has a car waiting for him in the back. He wants to get the hell out of here while everyone is in Canada is stuck with the wildfires. He says he's cashing fat checks in AEW. He's banging the hottest girl in AEW, which is kind of true. Anna Jay's Stone Cold Fox. An absolute fucking snack.
Come get on the train.
Basically, he's saying, he didn't need Hook. Hook's got a fake title. It doesn't mean anything. But I'm going to take this title from you. Your dad's a bum, blah, blah, blah. Listen. Jungle Boy has the charisma of a piece of cardboard. This is the closest I've gotten to being remotely interested in him. But he's still got a lot of work to do. I mean, I really wanted him to wow me with this new. This is the first heel Jack Perry that we've seen. we'll see. We'll see the evolution as it goes along. Hopefully it begins to grow on me. Right now, off to a kind of a shaky start. In the middle of this, Hook comes out, his music hits, he makes a beeline to the ring. He ain't fucking around. He doesn't want to talk, he's not going to walk, he's not going to do anything. Runs into the ring. Jungle Boy runs out, hops over the barricade into the crowd. Hook is right on his fucking heels. This guy was sprinting. Chases him to the back. They get a camera backstage. Jungle Boy's running, throwing all this debris in front of Hook to keep him from getting him. Jungle Boy literally swan dives inside of an SUV, and the SUV fucking books. It was hysterical. Obviously, this is going to end up leading to a match between Jungle Boy and Hook. I do think it's a possibility Jungle Boy takes the FTW title from him, giving Hook his first loss. I would like to see a Hook cut a promo saying that he's kind of like a forgotten pillar, because Hook was over and he wasn't even wrestling. Then he wrestled and he was super over. Then he kept on winning and won the FTW title, and he was mega over. So like, I gotta say, like, I feel like this could end up being more of a showcase for Hook than it is a showcase for Jungle Boy. Are they going to have a great match? Yes. Are they going to have a good promos leading up to it? Probably not, people. Probably not. Ruby Soho defeats Alexia Nicole. It was a match. Obviously, Ruby Soho was supposed to fight Dr. Britt Baker, DMD, but because she was sick, that didn't happen. So this is a filler match. She cut a promo. She said, you know, I'm going to beat Brick. I'm going to take everything that she owns, blah, blah, blah. Main event time. Sting and Darby Allin defeat Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara in a tornado tag match. I love Sting taking fucking stupid risks and no selling everything. I don't care what anyone says. He's a grown-ass man. I don't think AEW is stupid. They're obviously going to only put him in things that he feels comfortable with. If this is what he wants to do at his age, and he thinks he could do it, let him fucking do it, and we should enjoy it. He's doing this for us, people. So instead of chastising him, saying that he's fucking old, why don't you just say, yo, good for you, Sting. Jump off something higher. Awesome match. Jericho and Sting come away with the victory. Sting actually makes Jericho submit to the Scorpion Deathlock, which I thought was pretty cool. They actually had Jericho kick out of the Scorpion Death Drop. They had Sting duck a couple of Judas effects. They had Jericho hit a code breaker. Sting hit a stinger splash. Darby did all of his crazy moves. But yeah, I mean, Sting didn't get too much distance on that jump. He kind of landed torso first on Sammy, which I'm hoping broke the fall for the rest of his legs. But I mean, he wrestled the rest of the match, man. I'm pretty sure, but I guess I got to say after this weekend, probably not going to see Sting for a couple of weeks. You know what I mean? I think this motherfucker's going to rest up for the next couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, maybe a year. Who knows? But crazy fucking match. The card for Rampage is as follows. Matt Hardy and Brother Zay versus Johnny TV, formerly known as Johnny Mundo, formerly known as Johnny Nitro, formerly known as Johnny Impact, formerly known as John Morrison with QT Marshall. Hikaru Shida versus Taya Valkyrie. That should be a fun match. Shawn Spears versus The Blade. Two guys who they could be doing more with which they're not. That's why they're on Rampage. And Claudio Castagnoli defends the ROH World title against Commander. Collision. Already booked to be a pretty good show. MJF in-ring debut. Chris Statlander defends against Lady Frost in a TBS title match. Roderick Strong versus Samoa Joe. Dustin Rhodes versus Powerhouse Hobbs. Ricky Starks and Juice Robinson. Dynamite next week. Another random-ass tag team created, and I almost shit myself when I saw it. Swerve Strickland and Keith Lee are a tag team yet again. Swerve and Our Glory reignites after they had that. I don't know what the fuck was going on with their tag team. They're taking on the team of Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy in a blind eliminator tournament match. I have no idea who's going to win. I am leaning for Darby Allin and Orange Cassidy because I think they're going to be the best tag team to fight MJF and Adam Cole out of the tag teams that we know are in the tournament, because they all seem to be random ass tournaments. And Dr. Britt Baker versus Ruby Soho in an Owen Hart tournament match. It looks like Britt Baker is too sick to work today, but is not sick to work tomorrow. Extra long episode tonight finally comes to an end. We talked about Forbidden Door. We talked a little bit about what's going on in the WWE. We talked about Dynamite. Life is good for the wrestling fan. There's so much stuff to watch, people. If you're not, if you've never watched New Japan Pro Wrestling, I could suggest taking a look at Forbidden Door, getting a taste of some of the talent there and what they have to offer. It's a great promotion. Obviously, a different style, a different taste, a different presentation. But I love their particular form of art in the ring. It's fantastic. ROH, hopefully slowly making a little bit more of a resurgence. They were floundering. Tony bought them. They were kind of nowhere for a while. Now they're on Honor Club. They still have their pay-per-views, still going strong, still booking, still with a halfway decent roster worth checking out. AEW, my personal favorite right now, still loving it, on a really good momentum streak. And WWE, still with hits and misses, just like everybody else, I guess. But great time to be a wrestling fan, people, as usual. And we will be talking about as much wrestling as we possibly can every Wednesday and Saturday night here on this YouTube channel at 10 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I keep saying this, and for all you guys who have stuck with me since episode 1, keep on sticking with me, guys, because we're moving in a shaking. We are moving in a shaking. And you're going to start seeing some great content and some great things coming from this channel as the months go on. I'm hoping to debut the much anticipated version 2.0 of the podcast this year. God willing, that will happen. Thank you to Royal in the chat, as always. Thank you to Jordan for showing up. I appreciate you, brother. Thank you for your participation in the chat. Process. Every week I need to see those questions from the group, pal. Thank you. So, my name is Eric. This has been Smells Like Wrasslin. Signing off for tonight. I will see you guys Saturday, 10 p.m. for the Collision Post Show. We'll talk a little bit about SmackDown and anything else wrestling related. I'm going to bed. Take care, guys.